Thank you for joining us on Joyfully Dull. Hey Ronnie, today we're going to be making some bread, 2 loaves. And while we're at it, we're going to be talking about Joyfully Dull, what's coming up, what you've been up to, more excitingly and more importantly, because what you've been doing is what contributes so joyfully and abundantly to this remarkable movement initiative channel. I'm wearing you on a Pilates ring. I'm just going to lower down the volume a little bit of my favorite radio station, Times Radio. I would love to talk to you about, I could talk the hind legs off a proverbial donkey about why I find Times Radio such a miraculous addition to the radio landscape. So, where do we begin? What's the agenda today? Well, first of all, hello, hi. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you've joined us. I'm glad you're sharing this momentous time with us. I can't tell you what an incredible honor it is to have you here, because you could be in a million other places. There are billions of places you could be. And yeah, the quirky angle is deliberate. Like I say, Pilates ring, because I want you to focus on the meditative experience of being with me in the kitchen. And it probably looks chaotic, but everything is mise en place, or about to be put in its place, so that we can move through ballet-like this making of a loaf. This stream could end at any time because I am looking after baby, I'm multitasking, while my beautiful wife is at a postpartum course. So like I say, I'm just glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're spending some dull time with me in the most joyful way, because that's what life's all about. So I'm going to start off by doing my Japanese water roux, which is just simply 30 grams of flour with 150 milliliters, which, I mean, let's be honest, equates to grams 2 of cold water, and then I'll stir that in. That's for one of the loaves, not both of the loaves. I don't use this water roux for the wholemeal loaf, just the unhealthy loaf that I consider sacrosanct. 31 grams. We are quite figuratively and literally cooking today. So I'm just going to get 150 milliliters of water. Doesn't matter the temperature. In fact, if you're in my gang, you will skip a lot of the more logical things. Like, look, that's 157 milliliters. Do I care? No, of course I don't care. Why would I care? I'm making this loaf for me. I don't care. If I don't care, you shouldn't care. Nobody else's business. I mean that in the most loving sense, of course. So I'm just going to get that, whack that up to sort of 7-ish, and just going to give that a good old stir to get it, what do they call it? Is this emulsification? Because we're kind of creating a sauce, aren't we? That is essentially what a roux is. Roux is probably Jacques Pepin. Please chime in at any point. Roux is like a jus, isn't it? That's why they rhyme so beautifully. I am making a floury water sauce. Now, if that doesn't get your taste buds tingling, then my job is clearly not done. So I'm going to get that there. Do you know what? My kitchen is a little dusty. I'll be the first to admit it's a little dusty because we have a lot of other things going on. I'm here because I want you to be part of this experience. I love you being here, but, you know, criticize away. I've not had a single incident of salmonella or a bacillus, so I'm pretty happy with how things go. Anyway, if you've been to one of these breaditation experiences before, you'll know that I always use fresh yeast. I always do. I just find it lovely. It's easier to work with. You typically use half as much, again, of what you would use if you were using the, let me just show you. This is where the camera might go completely bananas temporarily. If you're using something like this stuff, which is like the fast action yeast, you typically use 7 grams of that for a loaf. But right, we have baby issues. One moment, please. Please stand by. Milk time. This might be permanent, but bear with me. Hello. No? Okay. Good night. The milk test failed spectacularly. We may hear some grunts and groans, and the next set of grunts and groans will be terminal for this particular live stream. So hopefully we'll be able to get through a little bit more of the bake before that point arrives, although it sounds like that won't be the case. Right, so the Japanese wateroo, I want to call it tangzu, I want to call it tangzan, it's neither of those things. But see, you can really sort of leave it, set it and forget it almost, as long as you're not burning the bottom of the pan. This is doing great, I can turn that off. That's what I mean, because the liquid is so little. I can just take that off the heat now, because this is sort of a quasi induction. What I like to do at this point, this is not in the recipe books, but we know salt, fat, acid is a great combination, and we'll be using all of those things in here, except for the acid. We don't put acid in a loaf, although I suppose in many ways, do we use buttermilk? Does it become butter? I don't think it does it? So I've just put a little bit of butter in here. This serves two purposes. It gets the fat in the loaf, which makes it a little springier and certainly tastier. And it also cools down the wateroo, so it means I don't have to wait quite so long before adding this into the loaf. Okay, so the wateroo is now done. I can now go back to the art of yeasting the dough. As I say, because I do sort of 1.5 times typical, I'm doing about 11 grams of fresh yeast per loaf. And because it's been out of the fridge a little bit, it's now starting to get a little bit sticky, which is not ideal. But let's see how we get on with that. That's 10. So if I just finish it off with that, it's 11. That's exactly what I'm looking for in terms of the amount of yeast. Now, the bowls are slightly different sizes. That's because my bowl, the white loaf, I have been shafted by the bell. I thought this was an optimistic live today, and we probably don't get very far. But as you know, we are in pilot mode at the moment, which means that I am flying a plane, figuratively speaking, while live streaming. But I really wanted to join you today because for a really important my baby is going to have some very stern words with me. I will go to her now and end this live stream. But just before I do, I just wanted to let you know that this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we're going to be having a watch party of Mortimer and Whitehouse Gone Fishing and Great Canal Journeys. And we're going to pop some details of that up on the website. But if you go over to our X channel, Joyfully Dull, or if you go onto the website, or if you come here on Saturday, I'm going to be scheduling these watch parties, and you can hear, watch, contribute. We can have a chat while we're watching it, because these two TV shows are really redolent of what Joyfully Dull's all about. But as you can hear, baby needs some work. Thank you for joining me today. We'll be back together all too soon for hopefully a much longer episode. But until then,